Now King David was old and advanced in years, and they covered him with clothes, but he couldn't keep warm. Now Adonijah the son of Haggith exalted himself, saying, I will be king. He prepared for himself chariots and horsemen, and 50 men to run before him. Then Nathan spoke to Bathsheba, the mother of Solomon, saying, Haven't you heard that Adonijah, the son of Haggith, reigns, and David our Lord doesn't know it? Now therefore come, please let me give you counsel, that you may save your own life, and the life of your son Solomon. Bathsheba went in to the king into the room. She bowed and showed respect to the king. The king said, What would you like? She said to him, My lord, you swore by Yahweh your God to your servant, Assuredly Solomon your son shall reign after me, and he shall sit on my throne. Now behold, Adonijah reigns. So King David answered, As Yahweh lives, who has redeemed my soul out of all adversity, most certainly as I swore to you by Yahweh, the God of Israel, saying, Assuredly Solomon your son shall reign after me, and he shall sit on my throne in my place. Most certainly so will I do this day. So Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet brought Solomon down to Gihon. Zadok the priest took the horn of oil out of the tent and anointed Solomon. They blew the trumpet, and all the people said, Long live King Solomon! All the people came up after him, and the people piped with pipes, and rejoiced with great joy, so that the earth shook with their sound. Now the days of David drew near that he should die, and he commanded Solomon his son, saying, I am going the way of all the earth. You be strong, therefore, and show yourself a man, and keep the instruction of Yahweh your God, to walk in his ways, to keep his statutes, his commandments, his ordinances, and his testimonies, according to that which is written in the law of Moses, that you may prosper in all that you do, and wherever you turn yourself. David slept with his fathers, and was buried in the city of David. The days that David reigned over Israel were 40 years. Solomon made affinity with Pharaoh king of Egypt, and took Pharaoh's daughter, and brought her into the city of David. Solomon loved Yahweh, walking in the statutes of David his father. In Gibeon, Yahweh appeared to Solomon in a dream by night, and God said, Ask what I shall give you. Solomon said, Now Yahweh my God, you have made your servant king instead of David my father. I am but a little child. I don't know how to go out or come in. Give your servant, therefore, an understanding heart to judge your people, that I may discern between good and evil. For who is able to judge this great people of yours? The speech pleased the Lord that Solomon had asked this thing. God said to him, Because you have asked this thing, and have not asked for yourself long life, neither have asked riches for yourself, nor have asked the life of your enemies, but have asked for yourself understanding to discern justice. Behold, I have done according to your word. Behold, I have given you a wise and an understanding heart, so that there has been none like you before you, neither after you shall any arise like you. I have also given you that which you have not asked, both riches and honor, so that there shall not be any among the kings like you all your days. Then 2 women came to the king. The one woman said, O my lord, I and this woman dwell in one house, and I delivered a child with her in the house. This woman's child died in the night because she lay on it. She arose at midnight and took my son from beside me while your servant slept, and laid it in her bosom, and laid her dead child in my bosom. The other woman said, No, but the living is my son, and the dead is your son. The king said, Bring me a sword. They brought a sword before the king. The king said, Divide the living child in 2, and give half to the one and half to the other. Then the woman whose the living child was spoke to the king, for her heart yearned over her son. And she said, Oh, "My lord, give her the living child, and in no way kill it." But the other said, "It shall be neither mine nor yours. Divide it." Then the king answered, "Give her the living child, and in no way kill it. She is its mother." All Israel heard of the judgment which the king had judged, and they feared the king, for they saw that the wisdom of God was in him to do justice. King Solomon was king over all Israel. Judah and Israel were many as the sand which is by the sea in multitude, eating and drinking and making merry. Solomon ruled over all the kingdoms from the river to the land of the Philistines and to the border of Egypt. They brought tribute and served Solomon all the days of his life. God gave Solomon wisdom and understanding exceeding much, and very great understanding, even as the sand that is on the seashore. Solomon's wisdom excelled the wisdom of all the children of the East, and all the wisdom of Egypt, for he was wiser than all men. He spoke 3,000 proverbs, and his songs were 1,005. He spoke of trees, from the cedar that is in Lebanon, even to the hyssop that grows out of the wall. He spoke also of animals, and of birds, and of creeping things, and of fish. People of all nations came to hear the wisdom of Solomon, sent by all kings of the earth, who had heard of his wisdom. Hiram, king of Tyre, sent his servants to Solomon, for he had heard that they had anointed him king in the place of his father. Solomon sent to Hiram, saying, "Behold, I purpose to build a house for the name of Yahweh my God, as Yahweh spoke to David my father, saying, Your son, whom I will set on your throne in your place, he shall build the house for my name. Now therefore command that they cut me cedar trees out of Lebanon." It happened, when Hiram heard the words of Solomon, that he rejoiced greatly, and said, "Blessed is Yahweh this day, who has given to David a wise son over this great people." Hiram gave Solomon timber of cedar and timber of fir, according to all his desire. There was peace between Hiram and Solomon, and the two of them made a treaty together. King Solomon raised a levy out of all Israel, and the levy was 30,000 men. Solomon had 70,000 who bore burdens, and 80,000 who were stone cutters in the mountains besides. Solomon's chief officers who were over the work, 3,300, who bore rule over the people who labored in the work. It happened in the 480th year after the children of Israel had come out of the land of Egypt, in the 4th year of Solomon's reign over Israel, that he began to build the house of Yahweh, the house which King Solomon built for Yahweh. Its length was 60 cubits, and its breadth 20 cubits, and its height 30 cubits. The house, when it was in building, was built of stone made ready at the quarry, and there was neither hammer nor axe nor any tool of iron heard in the house while it was in building. The word of Yahweh came to Solomon, saying, "Concerning this house, which you are building, if you will walk in my statutes, and execute my ordinances, and keep all my commandments to walk in them, then will I establish my word with you, which I spoke to David your father. I will dwell among the children of Israel, and will not forsake my people Israel." So Solomon built the house, and finished it. He built the walls of the house within, with boards of cedar, from the floor of the house to the walls of the ceiling. He covered them on the inside with wood, and he covered the floor of the house with boards of fir. He prepared an inner sanctuary in the midst of the house within, to set there the ark of the covenant of Yahweh. Solomon overlaid the house within with pure gold. The whole house he overlaid with gold, until all the house was finished. In the 4th year was the foundation of the house of Yahweh laid, in the month Ziv. In the 11th year, in the month Bul, which is the 8th month, was the house finished throughout all its parts, and according to all the plans of it. So he spent 7 years in building it. Solomon was building his own house 13 years, and he finished all his house. King Solomon sent and brought Hiram out of Tyre. He was filled with wisdom and understanding and skill to work all works in brass. He came to King Solomon, and performed all his work. He made the 2 pillars, and he made a molten sea, 10 cubits from brim to brim, round in compass. So all the work that King Solomon worked in the house of Yahweh was finished. Solomon brought in the things which David his father had dedicated, even the silver and the gold and the vessels, and put them in the treasuries of the house of Yahweh. Then Solomon assembled the elders of Israel, and all the heads of the tribes, the princes of the fathers' houses of the children of Israel, to King Solomon in Jerusalem, to bring up the ark of the covenant of Yahweh out of the city of David, which is Zion. The priests brought in the ark of the covenant of Yahweh to its place, into the inner sanctuary of the house, to the most holy place, even under the wings of the cherubim. It happened, when the priests had come out of the holy place, that the cloud filled the house of Yahweh, so that the priests could not stand to minister by reason of the cloud, for the glory of Yahweh filled the house of Yahweh. Then Solomon said, Yahweh has said that he would dwell in the thick darkness. I have surely built you a house of habitation, a place for you to dwell in forever. Solomon stood before the altar of Yahweh in the presence of all the assembly of Israel, and spread forth his hands toward heaven, and he said, Yahweh, the God of Israel, there is no God like you, in heaven above or on earth beneath, who keep covenant and loving kindness with your servants, who walk before you with all their heart. But will God in very deed dwell on the earth? Behold, heaven and the heaven of heavens can't contain you, how much less this house that I have built. Yet have respect for the prayer of your servant, and to his supplication, Yahweh, my God, to listen to the cry and to the prayer which your servant prays before you today, that your eyes may be opened toward this house night and day, even toward the place of which you have said, my name shall be there. If your people Israel are struck down before the enemy because they have sinned against you, if they turn again to you and confess your name and pray and make supplication to you in this house, then hear in heaven and forgive the sin of your people Israel. Moreover, concerning the foreigner, who is not of your people Israel, when he shall come out of a far country for your name's sake, when he shall come, and pray toward this house here in heaven, your dwelling place, and do according to all that the foreigner calls to you, for that all the peoples of the earth may know your name, to fear you, as do your people Israel. It was so that when Solomon had made an end of praying all this prayer and supplication to Yahweh, he arose from before the altar of Yahweh, from kneeling on his knees with his hands spread forth toward heaven. He stood and blessed all the assembly of Israel with a loud voice, saying, Blessed is Yahweh, who has given rest to his people Israel according to all that he promised. There has not failed one word of all his good promise, which he promised by Moses his servant. May Yahweh our God be with us, as he was with our fathers. Let him not leave us, nor forsake us, that he may incline our hearts to him, to walk in all his ways, and to keep his commandments. It happened, when Solomon had finished the building of the house of Yahweh, and the king's house, that Yahweh appeared to Solomon the second time, as he had appeared to him at Gibeon. Yahweh said to him, I have heard your prayer and your supplication that you have made before me. I have made this house holy, which you have built, to put my name there forever, and my eyes and my heart shall be there perpetually. As for you, if you will walk before me, as David your father walked, in integrity of heart and in uprightness, then I will establish the throne of your kingdom over Israel forever. But if you turn away from following me, you or your children, and not keep my commandments, then will I cut off Israel out of the land which I have given them, and this house, which I have made holy for my name, will I cast out of my sight. When the queen of Sheba heard of the fame of Solomon concerning the name of Yahweh, she came to prove him with hard questions. She came to Jerusalem with a very great train, with camels that bore spices, and very much gold, and precious stones. And when she had come to Solomon, she talked with him of all that was in her heart. Solomon told her all her questions. There was not anything hidden from the king which he didn't tell her. When the queen of Sheba had seen all the wisdom of Solomon and the house that he had built, there was no more spirit in her. She said to the king, "It was a true report that I heard in my own land of your acts and of your wisdom. However, I didn't believe the words until I came, and my eyes had seen it. Behold, the half was not told me. Your wisdom and prosperity exceed the fame which I heard. Blessed is Yahweh your God, who delighted in you, to set you on the throne of Israel." Now King Solomon loved many foreign women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Sidonians, and Hittites of the nations concerning which Yahweh said to the children of Israel, "You shall not go among them, neither shall they come among you, for surely they will turn away your heart after their gods." For it happened, when Solomon was old, that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with Yahweh, his God, as the heart of David his father was. For Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. Solomon did that which was evil in the sight of Yahweh. Yahweh was angry with Solomon, because his heart was turned away from Yahweh, the God of Israel. Therefore Yahweh said to Solomon, "Because this is done by you, and you have not kept my covenant and my statutes, which I have commanded you, I will surely tear the kingdom from you, and will give it to your servant. Notwithstanding, I will not do it in your days for David your father's sake, but I will tear it out of the hand of your son. However, I will not tear away all the kingdom, but I will give one tribe to your son, for David my servant's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, which I have chosen." Solomon slept with his fathers, and was buried in the city of David his father, and Rehoboam his son reigned in his place. Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all Israel had come to Shechem to make him king. They spoke to Rehoboam, saying, "Your father made our yoke difficult. Now therefore make the grievous service of your father, and his heavy yoke which he put on us, lighter, and we will serve you." The young men who had grown up with him spoke to him, saying, "Thus you shall tell them, my father made your yoke heavy, but I will add to your yoke. My father chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scorpions." So the king didn't listen to the people, for it was a thing brought about by Yahweh, that he might establish his word. When all Israel saw that the king didn't listen to them, the people answered the king, saying, "What portion have we in David? We have no inheritance in the son of Jesse. To your tents, Israel. Now see to your own house, David." So Israel departed to their tents. So Israel rebelled against the house of David to this day. It happened, when all Israel heard that Jeroboam had returned, that they sent and called him to the congregation, and made him king over all Israel. There was none who followed the house of David, but the tribe of Judah only. Jeroboam said in his heart, "Now the kingdom will return to the house of David. If this people goes up to offer sacrifices in the house of Yahweh at Jerusalem, then will the heart of this people turn again to their Lord, even to Rehoboam, king of Judah." Whereupon the king took counsel, and made 2 calves of gold. And he said to the people, "It is too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. Look and behold your gods, Israel, which brought you up out of the land of Egypt." This thing became a sin. Behold, a man of God came out of Judah by the word of Yahweh to Bethel, and Jeroboam was standing by the altar to burn incense. He cried against the altar by the word of Yahweh, and said, "Altar, altar, thus says Yahweh, behold, a son shall be born to the house of David, Josiah by name. On you he shall sacrifice the priests of the high places who burn incense on you." He gave a sign the same day, saying, "This is the sign which Yahweh has spoken. Behold, the altar shall be torn, and the ashes that are on it shall be poured out. It happened, when the king heard the saying of the man of God, that Jeroboam put out his hand from the altar, saying, Seize him! His hand which he put out against him dried up, so that he could not draw it back again to himself. The altar also was torn, and the ashes poured out from the altar. The king answered the man of God, Now entreat the favor of Yahweh your God, and pray for me, that my hand may be restored to me again. The man of God entreated Yahweh, and the king's hand was restored to him again, and became as it was before. At that time Abijah the son of Jeroboam fell sick. Jeroboam said to his wife, Please get up and disguise yourself, and go to Shiloh. Behold, there is Ahijah the prophet, who spoke concerning me that I should be king over this people. Jeroboam's wife did so, and arose, and went to Shiloh. It happened, when Ahijah heard the sound of her feet, as she came in at the door, that he said, Come in, you wife of Jeroboam. Why do you pretend to be another? For I am sent to you with heavy news. Go, tell Jeroboam, Thus says Yahweh, the God of Israel, because you have done evil above all, who were before you, and have gone and made you other gods and molten images to provoke me to anger, and have cast me behind your back. Therefore, behold, I will bring evil on the house of Jeroboam. The days which Jeroboam reigned were 22 years. He slept with his fathers, and Nadab his son reigned in his place. Now in the 18th year of King Jeroboam the son of Nebat, Abijam began to reign over Judah. He reigned 3 years in Jerusalem. He walked in all the sins of his father which he had done before him, and his heart was not perfect with Yahweh his God, as the heart of David his father. Abijam slept with his fathers, and they buried him in the city of David. Asa his son reigned in his place. Asa did that which was right in the eyes of Yahweh, as did David his father. He put away the Sodomites out of the land, and removed all the idols that his fathers had made. Asa's heart was perfect with Yahweh all his days. There was war between Asa and Baasha, king of Israel, all their days. Asa slept with his fathers, and was buried with his fathers in the city of David his father, and Jehoshaphat his son reigned in his place. Nadab the son of Jeroboam began to reign over Israel in the 2nd year of Asa king of Judah, and he reigned over Israel 2 years. He did that which was evil in the sight of Yahweh, and walked in the way of his father, and in his sin with which he made Israel to sin. Baasha the son of Ahijah conspired against him, and Baasha struck him and killed him, and reigned in his place. It happened that as soon as he was king, he struck all the house of Jeroboam. He didn't leave to Jeroboam any who breathed, until he had destroyed him, according to the saying of Yahweh, which he spoke by his servant Ahijah. In the 38th year of Asa king of Judah, Ahab the son of Omri began to reign over Israel. And Ahab the son of Omri reigned over Israel in Samaria 22 years. Ahab the son of Omri did that which was evil in the sight of Yahweh above all who were before him, as if it had been a light thing for him to walk in the sins of Jeroboam. He took as wife Jezebel, the daughter of Ethbaal, king of the Sidonians, and went and served Baal and worshipped him. Ahab made the Asherah. And Ahab did yet more to provoke Yahweh, the God of Israel, to anger than all the kings of Israel who were before him. Elijah the Tishbite, who was of the foreigners of Gilead, said to Ahab, As Yahweh, the God of Israel, lives, before whom I stand, there shall not be dew nor rain these years, but according to my word. The word of Yahweh came to him, saying, Go away from here, turn eastward, and hide yourself by the brook Cherith. You shall drink of the brook. I have commanded the ravens to feed you there. The ravens brought him bread and flesh in the morning, and bread and flesh in the evening, and he drank of the brook. It happened after a while that the brook dried up, because there was no rain in the land. The word of Yahweh came to him, saying, Arise, go to Zarephath, and stay there. Behold, I have commanded a widow there to sustain you." So he arose and went to Zarephath. The barrel of meal didn't empty, neither did the jar of oil fail, according to the word of Yahweh, which he spoke by Elijah. It happened after many days that the word of Yahweh came to Elijah in the 3rd year, saying, "Go, show yourself to Ahab, and I will send rain on the earth." Elijah went to show himself to Ahab. It happened, when Ahab saw Elijah, that Ahab said to him, "Is it you, you troubler of Israel?" He answered, "I have not troubled Israel, but you and your father's house, and that you have forsaken the commandments of Yahweh, and you have followed the Baals. Now therefore send, and gather to me all Israel to Mount Carmel, and the prophets of Baal 450, and the prophets of the Asherah 400. Elijah came near to all the people and said, "How long will you waver between the two sides? If Yahweh is God, follow him, but if Baal, then follow him." The people answered him not a word. Then Elijah said to the people, "Let them therefore give us 2 bulls, and let them choose 1 bull for themselves, and cut it in pieces, and lay it on the wood, and put no fire under. And I will dress the other bull, and lay it on the wood, and put no fire under it. You call on the name of your God, and I will call on the name of Yahweh. The God who answers by fire, let him be God." All the people answered, "It is well said." So they took the bull, and called on the name of Baal from morning even until noon, saying, "Baal, hear us." But there was no voice, nor any who answered. It happened at noon that Elijah mocked them, and said, "Cry aloud, for he is a god. Either he is musing, or he has gone aside, or he is on a journey, or perhaps he sleeps and must be awakened." They cried aloud, but there was neither voice, nor any to answer, nor any who regarded. Elijah said to all the people, "Come near to me." And all the people came near to him. He repaired the altar of Yahweh that was thrown down. Elijah took 12 stones, according to the number of the tribes of the sons of Jacob. With the stones, he built an altar in the name of Yahweh. He made a trench around the altar. He put the wood in order, and cut the bull in pieces, and laid it on the wood. He said, "Fill 4 jars with water, and pour it on the burnt offering, and on the wood." He said, "Do it a 2nd time," and they did it the 2nd time. He said, "Do it a 3rd time," and they did it the 3rd time. The water ran around the altar, and he also filled the trench with water. It happened at the time of the offering that Elijah the prophet came near and said, "Yahweh, the God of Abraham, of Isaac, and of Israel, let it be known this day that you are God in Israel, and that I am your servant, and that I have done all these things at your word. Hear me, Yahweh, hear me, that this people may know that you, Yahweh, are God." Then the fire of Yahweh fell, and consumed the burnt offering, and the wood, and the stones, and the dust, and licked up the water that was in the trench. When all the people saw it, they fell on their faces. They said, "Yahweh, he is God. Yahweh, he is God." Elijah said to Ahab, "Get up, eat and drink, for there is the sound of abundance of rain." It happened in a little while that the sky grew black with clouds and wind, and there was a great rain. Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done, and how he had killed all the prophets with the sword. Then Jezebel sent a messenger to Elijah, saying, "So let the gods do to me, and more also, if I don't make your life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time." When he saw that, he arose and went for his life, and came to Beersheba. But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness, and came and sat down under a juniper tree. He requested for himself that he might die, and said, "It is enough. Now, Yahweh, take away my life, for I am not better than my fathers." He arose and ate and drank, and went in the strength of that food 40 days and 40 nights to Horeb, the mount of God. He came there to a cave and lodged there. Behold, the word of Yahweh came to him, and he said to him, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" He said, "I have been very jealous for Yahweh, the God of armies, for the children of Israel have forsaken your covenant, thrown down your altars, and slain your prophets with the sword. I, even I only, am left, and they seek my life to take it away." He said, "Go out and stand on the mountain before Yahweh." Behold, Yahweh passed by, and a great and strong wind tore the mountains, and broke in pieces the rocks before Yahweh. But Yahweh was not in the wind. After the wind, an earthquake, but Yahweh was not in the earthquake. After the earthquake, a fire passed, but Yahweh was not in the fire. After the fire, a still, small voice. It was so, when Elijah heard it, that he wrapped his face in his mantle, and went out, and stood in the entrance of the cave. Yahweh said to him, "Yet will I leave 7,000 in Israel, all the knees which have not bowed to Baal." So he departed there, and found Elisha the son of Shaphat, who was plowing. Elijah passed over to him, and cast his mantle on him. He left the oxen, and ran after Elijah, and said, "Let me please kiss my father and my mother, and then I will follow you." So he returned from following him, and arose, and went after Elijah, and served him. There was a man named Naboth the Jezreelite, who had a vineyard in Jezreel, hard by the palace of Ahab, king of Samaria. Ahab spoke to Naboth, saying, "Give me your vineyard, that I may have it for a garden of herbs." Naboth said to Ahab, "May Yahweh forbid me, that I should give the inheritance of my fathers to you." Ahab came into his house sullen and angry. Jezebel, his wife, came to him, and arranged for Naboth to be wrongly accused and put to death, and gave the vineyard to Ahab. The word of Yahweh came to Elijah the Tishbite, saying, "Arise, go down to meet Ahab, king of Israel. Speak to him, saying, Thus says Yahweh, have you killed and also taken possession? In the place where dogs licked the blood of Naboth, dogs will lick your blood." Ahab said to Elijah, "Have you found me, my enemy?" He answered, "I have found you, because you have sold yourself to do that, which is evil in the sight of Yahweh." It happened, when Ahab heard those words, that he tore his clothes, and put sackcloth on his flesh, and fasted. The word of Yahweh came to Elijah, saying, "Do you see how Ahab humbles himself before me? Because he humbles himself before me, I will not bring the evil in his days." That continued 3 years without war between Syria and Israel. The king of Israel and Jehoshaphat the king of Judah went up to Ramoth Gilead. A certain man drew his bow at random, and struck the king of Israel between the joints of the armor. So the king died, and was brought to Samaria, and they buried the king in Samaria. They washed the chariot by the pool of Samaria, and the dogs licked up his blood, according to the word of Yahweh which he spoke. So Ahab slept with his fathers, and Ahaziah his son reigned in his place. Jehoshaphat the son of Asa began to reign over Judah. He did that which was right in the eyes of Yahweh. He walked in all the way of Asa his father. He didn't turn aside from it, doing that which was right in the eyes of Yahweh. Jehoshaphat slept with his fathers, and was buried with his fathers in the city of David. His father Jehoram, his son, reigned in his place.